This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings. Online at madeformorerealty.com.
So I am always, so this is technically a real estate show, right, Matt?
Technically
a real estate show. But every now and then, I get a request from somebody and they're like, hey, I think this would be a great guest to have on the radio station. So I got a call from this friend that used to actually be on the real estate team, and her son's a contractor, and they're like, oh my gosh, you should totally have Bob Hasty on the show, like her father-in-law. And she's like, he is like the world's most interesting man, and he's doing a lot of good things for people in the world, and people need to know what he's doing so they can support him if they're interested. And so on the show today is Bob Hasty. Thanks for being on the show, Bob.
Awesome. Great to be here with you guys.
Remember that show, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? I feel like that applies to Bob Hasty. Where in the world is Bob Hasty?
It totally does. That's what Josephine says all the time. She's like, where in the world is Bob Hasty? But Bob, you've been all over the place, helping lots of different people.
Yeah.
But recently you came back, was it in Nepal? Is that where you were recently?
Yeah.
You mind kind of sharing what it is you were doing there and maybe some things you've seen over the years?
So I've been in Nepal 10 times, and we build houses, we build churches, we dig fresh water wells for people that don't have access to water. And then we do some other things, we help with surgeries, and farmers plant crops and things like that. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're doing there. And do you want me to go ahead and tell that story I just told you?
Yeah, let's hear the one about the lady.
So, I think it's important that when you go to these countries, you don't just go one and done. You go and you keep going so you can build relationships and see the real needs in real time. And so wherever we build, I never know where we're building. They just tell me we're going to build a house or a church in this area. And so I won't know where it's at until I get there. Mm-hmm. Well, the places we build are on top of these mountains and these villages that take, usually 1.5 hour car ride, then a 4-wheel drive of 2.5 to 3.5 hours, and then an hour plus walk to get to these villages that are so remote. And so we had built a house for an older couple that really just lived in kind of sticks and straw and palm leaves, didn't have anything. And we built the house, and so we went up to dedicate it. And so after we finally got up there, here's this couple, and here's this great little house we built. And so we went into the house to dedicate the house and to worship. And, it was just a celebratory time. It was great. And I noticed that we went to cut the ribbon, that the wife was holding her husband's arm and then putting her hand on the walls of the house, kind of feeling it. Mm-hmm. And I remember just thinking, wow, that's kind of odd, So I leaned over to my friend who's from Nepal, and I said, what's going on there? And he said, she's blind. And so I didn't know that. I didn't know she was blind, But I thought, wow. And my first thought was, how sad you get a really nice house for that area built and you don't even get to see it.
Right.
You can just feel it.
Yeah.
So, that just kind of touched my heart. And we went in and we prayed and we sang and gave thanks. And then they had a nice barbecue, fresh water buffalo all barbecued up and rice. And so we're out there, and I just kept looking at this lady, and then I heard a little voice, which happens a lot, when you're out there. And this voice, I believe the voice of God, just said, infected eyes. I just heard those two words, infected eyes. And I thought, that's really weird and interesting. And so I asked my friend, I said, hey, can you get her to an eye doctor? And he said, okay, yeah. Well, to get her from where she was at to an eye doctor was no less than 5 hours. So it's 5 to 10 hours to get her there. So in a few weeks, they got her there and then found out that they could do a surgery on her eyes. So they did. I gave them, our nonprofit gave them the money to do the first surgery, did one eye, went good. She could see out of it. So then she was supposed to go back a month later, but she had something else going on physically, and they couldn't do it. So they prolonged it another month, which was actually good because I happened to be coming, 3 months later. And so after they did the second surgery, they called me back and they said, hey, she can see now.
Wow.
I said, seriously? And they said, yeah. And so we had built a church up in that area, so I was going back there to dedicate a church that we had built. And so when I went up there, got to see this lady. And there she was, and she wasn't putting her hands on her house. She was seeing, and I sat next to her and talked to her through a translator, and she said, here's her quote, I am so excited I finally get to see the whole world.
Wow.
And,
Incredible.
you're just thinking, now, here's the deal. That's a great story, and I am absolutely just amazed to be a part of it. But it just speaks to a couple things here, that I've found that the more you go to places, the more you see,
Sure.
the more awareness you have. And so in this case, I saw something that, for whatever reason, nobody else had seen, a blind woman that could potentially not get, not have to stay that way. So I saw that. I saw her. And here's the deal. That surgery was $300.
Really?
So, let me just ask you guys, if you were blind and you couldn't see, and a surgery for $300 could open a whole new world to you, what would that do to you? What would that do to your heart? What would that do to your perspective of God, of community? And so that's just one of those cases where you're just going, man, that's why I keep going. It's not easy to get there. I mean, it's 30 hours, to get there one way with layovers and stuff. And then it's another, like I said, 4 hours to get to some of these places. And you have to hike, for an hour or two. And it's brutal, but it's worth it. That's
incredible. And what I was thinking about is it's Nepal.
Yeah.
They don't have ADA compliant stuff, she's having to probably grope around, feel her way through life.
Always.
And now she can walk freely.
Mm-hmm.
That is that's incredible. And for only $300.
$300. I mean, that's it. And I think a lot of times in America, we just think about countries that are so overwhelmed with poverty. They just, we just tend to think, well, what could I do? There's, what's the little I could do? And that just showed me $300. I mean, my gosh, you can get a handful of people together, come up with $300 and help somebody see. I mean, that's just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But talking about third world countries, you travel all over the place.
Yeah.
You spent a lot of time in Haiti, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I started going to Haiti 12 years ago.
Okay.
Been there 30 times.
Wow.
Lived to tell about it, yeah, because it's a pretty violent place, pretty crazy place.
I've heard it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
Probably since 12 years ago.
Yeah. It's the gangs last report either run 100% of Port-au-Prince or 90%. And then I just found out that kids don't go to school right now because it's just too dangerous. Kidnapping and violence, and it's just too crazy.
How do you get around? Because you kind of stand out in Haiti.
Yeah, I do. I'm not like other people.
Yeah.
I just have to make it. I just got to get through Port-au-Prince Airport and then get a mile and a half down the road to the small airport. and then you take a plane and then another long drive. Once you get past Port-au-Prince, you're okay. It's Port-au-Prince that's crazy. They killed missionaries last year. They just killed 120, I think, elderly people because they had heard that these elderly people were putting voodoo spells on the gang members, and so they just executed them. These are old people. They just executed them.
My dad has a friend who is from Haiti, who's ended up being adopted by a family here in California, but he still has relatives in Haiti.
Yeah.
So he goes all the time, and my dad's gone over there with him a bunch of times.
Yep.
And it's just even he, being Haitian, is afraid to go back to Haiti at certain periods because of how violent it's become.
Yeah, and it can turn on a dime. I mean, it can look peaceful 1 minute, and then all of a sudden they'll protest something, and they'll put tires across the road, light them on fire, and you're not going anywhere.
Wow.
And then you're vulnerable, then you're a target, and so, it's not the safest place. But it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, so that's my attraction.
Yeah, and so you've been there 30 times, and you've actually helped put a medical student through school, right?
Yeah. This is a great story. When I started going there, this kid was probably 10 or whatever. Wilson is his name, and he's just a kid that stands out.
Wait, how old did you say he was?
He's about 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's about 12, young guy, and so you go up there, and it's not a big place, but you see some of the same people. And so I know a lot of the people there, and they know a lot of people know me, and so this one kid's in school, and he plays tennis, which is the only thing they have up there is one tennis court, and they have nothing else. A soccer field. They have a soccer field, and that's really big there. But I saw this kid, and he just stood out amongst his peers, and so I got to know him over the years, and then finally when he was in, 9th or 10th grade, I said, what do you want to do? And most of the people there, they don't go on to bigger and better things. They go on to a different level of survival. They do what they can, and it's a survival mode. You're talking. There's hardly any house that has refrigeration. It's a day-to-day type living situation, and so I just asked him, "What do you want to do?" He said, "My dream is to be a doctor." And to even meet somebody in Haiti that has a dream is a big deal, because most don't. And so I asked him, I said, "You really want to do that, huh?" And so I talked to my friend down there who started this foundation, him and his parents 40 years ago. And I said, "Do you think he has what it takes to be a doctor?" And they said, "Definitely." They said, "We've talked to our 2 doctors here," and they said the same thing. So I met with him and his mom. His dad abandoned them when he was young. And I said, "If you pass the entrance exams, we'll pay for your med school." And I told him and his mom that. His mom was crying. He was crying. And so last year, he went through, out of 500 open spots to get tested, he finished in the top 70.
Okay.
And so now he just finished his first rounds, 2 semesters, and he's at the top of his class.
Wow.
And so this kid, in my opinion, I'm going out on a limb here. In my opinion, I have a hunch he's going to be the best doctor in Haiti. I just believe that. I don't know where that came from. I believe that. And he's just a high quality, high character, Christ-like young man. And that's one of the things we do.
And how much does it cost to become a doctor in Haiti?
Well, I think the first year is like $4,000. Yeah.
So more than a new set of eyes, but still very affordable for a church or for people to get behind.
Absolutely, And so we've already paid his first year. And then met 3 other girls that wanted to be nurses. And so I had talked to a friend of mine, and she runs a nonprofit called Lifeline, which is a great one. They were big with the Paradise Fires and stuff. And so they had them send, why they want to be nurses and their school credentials. And they paid for these 3 young girls to be in nursing school, and they're just finishing their first year.
Wow.
So,
and that's not only going to impact the girls, that's not only going to impact the community, it's going to impact their families, like
100%.
Generational change there.
Yeah, you're talking about people that have nothing. Like if they have a couple of chickens and a goat, they're doing really good. And they all plant just little vegetables, whatever they can get their hands on. There's no store there. There's a market once a week. And that's where all the action takes place. That's where everybody goes and sells everything from full-size cows to butchered-up pigs to fish, Adidas shoes. And
Adidas shoes. So
that aren't Adidas shoes. One shoe says Adidas, the other says Nike.
So you just got to go there daily, basically, to get to grocery shop, because you don't have refrigeration. Like, it's a daily thing going to the market.
Yeah. No, the market's only once a week.
Oh.
So they buy the vegetables, things that don't rot. And then, and the meat they'll dry out, so they can eat it a little longer. But that's where it all takes place. So one guy's business there, you'll see 100 cell phones plugged in at a time. And some guy has the magic charger, and he just charges a little. And so all these people once a week get their cell phones charged there. So that's what we're talking, how far out this is and what it takes to just make it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, when we come back, we're going to be talking about another person in Haiti, the voodoo doctor story.
Yeah.
So every week on this show, you hear us talking about how Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty, they have more 5-star Google reviews than anyone else in our area, over 1,000. So we thought we would share a few with you. This is from Jacob. He gave Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty 5 stars on Google. He said, "I am absolutely thrilled to share my experience with this incredible real estate company from the very beginning. Valerie and her team went above and beyond." Valerie is Johnny Jennings' wife, "above and beyond to ensure that my home selling journey was smooth and successful. Their professionalism, expertise, and dedication truly set them apart. I was astonished when they sold my home for the asking price in less than 30 days. It's hard to believe that many people spend months or even years trying to sell their homes, and here I was with money in hand in such a short time. The efficiency and effectiveness of their strategy were nothing short of remarkable." Jacob goes on from there, but let's go to Manu. She gave Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty, 5 stars on Google. And she said, I had the pleasure of working with Jose and Johnny, and I can confidently say they are exceptional professionals in the real estate industry. Their knowledge and expertise are evident in every interaction, and they go above and beyond to assist clients. Not only are they professional and thorough in their dealings, but they also are genuinely caring about their clients' needs. They take the extra step to provide detailed answers to real estate related questions and ensure a smooth experience. I highly recommend Jose and Johnny to anyone looking for dedicated and knowledgeable real estate professionals. Those are just 2 testimonies from Google, folks that have worked with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Deves team at Made for More Realty and gave them 5 stars on Google. They have well over 1,000 of them. You can go check them out for yourself and read them and find out why so many people trust Johnny Jennings with the sale of their home. And not only the sale, but if you need someone to walk alongside you because you're looking for that perfect home to purchase for yourself, or maybe it's for your kids or a family member, they are the one that most people go to in our area. In fact, they were voted number 1 team in Roseville for 3 straight years in a row. In fact, listen to this. If you don't want to go through all the hassles of doing open houses and stagings and organizing or even some costly home repairs, listen to this. They'll give you at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. Again, 3 cash offers, not 1, not 2, but 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. What do? You just Google Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. Again, Johnny Jennings, Made for More Realty. Just Google them and find out how you can get at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. So Google them today and get more for your home.